This probably works on, say, green products as well, or sustainable products, which is very topical. This side of the world with the war in Ukraine and winter coming up, and the cost of utilities. I read today that wind farms provided over 20% of electricity demand in Ireland last month, which was twice what was generated in July last year. So it's really topical and really important for consumers and producers. But do you feel that psychology and neuromarketing could help the perception of green products to make them extra appealing, for instance?
The green issue, that sustainable values, brands represent sustainable values, is extremely important, as you say. A lot of brands are trying to compete to be sustainable brands in their industry, and things are happening there. So, one, if you look at an industry like fashion, for example, which has gone through incredible. H&M went from fast fashion, you're creating landfills, you're incredibly sustainable, to really, if we're trying to be nice to H&M, really a pioneer in that industry in terms of representing sustainable values. That's happening in many different industries where they're really trying to be a sustainable brand. And the branding 101 is that you have to differentiate. If every player in the landscape is sustainably oriented, by you being sustainably oriented, you don't differentiate on being sustainable. And that is just at parity with all of the competitors. And on the one hand, that's a very good thing that it's become such a dominant value and so valued by society that basically it's expected that every brand does. And if we're at that point, that's a very good thing. But if brands are too peaceful in differentiating, they need to, one, be represented, they need to be seen as a sustainable brand, but two, they need to be the brand of choice that's sustainable, but for non sustainable reasons. To bring in consumers that may not hold those values and get them to buy your sustainable product. And the great example, I think, is Tesla. So Tesla being a pioneer in the electric car industry, clearly, sustainable brands, relatively speaking, supply chain issues aside, they, one, are able to attract customers. Like, oh, that person probably is sustainably oriented, the way we looked at people that drove Priuses 10 years ago and thought they were probably sustainably a consumer. What Tesla also does that Prius doesn't do is bring in consumers that aren't necessarily sustainably minded. They bring in people that are tech minded, that are futuristic minded, that are, Elon Musk super fans. They bring them into the brand. And when you bring people that don't have a value, a sustainable product, then you're really moving the needle. And I think that's really what more and more brands need to utilize. So yes, be sustainable, be in line with the environmental goals of your local communities and the global community, but also bring in individuals that don't necessarily hold those sustainable values, because that's really going to be able to move the needle.